Good morning and good afternoon wherever you are, and welcome to the program today. We are here with a guest. His name is Wesley from OldeSchoolWolf Media. Myself is Alex by the channel of Reporterfy Media, and we are going to bring you very soon to Patrick Lancaster in the Donetsk People's Republic inside the war zone. And I just want to say thank you for everyone that's showing up tonight. We do have moderators moderating the chat, so any funny stuff, you'll quickly be eliminated. And we do also keep the chat open for nice, we'll call it polite chat tonight. And everyone
polite
sometimes
conversation.
has, yes, sometimes people do have different opinion. Just to give you a brief background how I know Patrick, I've been doing some reporting with Patrick last year. We did travel to Transnistria and Abkhazia and a few other areas around there, and we recorded that, and hopefully that video footage will see the light of day eventually. I'm here joined by Old School Wolf Media. Wesley, maybe you can tell everyone about yourself before we hop in and find Mr. Lancaster in the Donetsk People's Republic, the DPR.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wesley from Old School Wolf Media, and I'm here with Alex, international man of Canadian sensibility. But as you can see, I'm in America. Quite happy about that. But I'm also someone that's very open to engaging in opinions that don't fit narratives. Across the world, people have been coming to YouTube to get news and information from around the world because we started realizing our mainstream news networks aren't telling us anything. So when we started setting up the stream, I automatically started learning things about Donetsk. I'm not going to pronounce that correctly. I automatically started learning things about that part of, that area of the world that I hadn't known yet, because we're not getting any information from there. So I'm quite happy that we've been able to link up with someone over there. And as to the chat room, we're okay with dissenting opinions, but I've already had to mute somebody for going way off the rails there, speaking absurdity.
That's okay. So not to worry. I have my Donetsk People's Republic flag right behind me here, and I'm sure I will get some opposing opinions in the chat group as well as the flag that you're flying there. Let's see if we can find where Mr. Lancaster is in Donetsk. Wesley, if you could use the studio software to bring us to Patrick, if possible. There he is. Hello, Patrick. If you can hear us, that would be great. We don't know. You're out. Tell us maybe you're live streaming right inside the war zone here in the Donetsk People's Republic. So let's see if we can pick his feed up, see how it sounds. Yeah. Probably got a bit of a delay here, so.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready, Patrick.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Wesley. Yeah, I'm here in Donetsk, the capital of the Donetsk People's Republic. Seem to be picking you up somewhat all right. Right now, we're actually right next to the Donetsk area. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, I'm not sure if you guys are actually picking up right or not. But yeah, this building behind me is actually an old military base from the anti-Ukraine government, Donetsk People's Republic forces. So I kind of plan to show you guys a little bit today on this location. You can see in the side of the building, there's many holes from different attacks that went on, because this whole area here was a very hotbed of battle for the first couple years of the war.
Patrick, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. You guys able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we can go ahead and start taking a walk through.
Yes. Well, Patrick, can you turn off your camera and turn it back on? There should be an icon at the bottom of the screen. It seems to have frozen.
Okay. Go ahead and turn off the camera.
Wesley, you can maintain with the studio while we figure out just a couple of our technicalities. You can go back to the mainstream, Wesley, until we figure out what's going on here.
It seems like both your cameras seem to be frozen.
Yeah.
Whoa. So something I've learned about what's going on in People's Republic of Donetsk, and I apologize for constantly mispronouncing that. Obviously, I'm not very skilled in the Slavic languages, but to my understanding, that the eastern part of Ukraine actually declared independence from Ukraine, is now its own country. This is the first time I've heard of that. This things that we're not hearing from mainstream media, which is things I really wanted to hear about. We have heard that. Okay.
Yeah, Wesley, I'm kind of picking up some of what you're saying, but it seems like you're having a little bit of problem with our connection here. Can you go ahead and repeat yourself a bit?
Well, I was just trying to tell everyone what I've recently learned about that part of the world, because we were starved for information here. But if you got a connection, you're more than welcome to tell us the history of this.
Okay, great. Well, basically, I've been here in Donetsk since the beginning of 2014, when the kind of unrest started to develop here. The civilian population was in kind of an uproar after the events in Kiev, because in Kiev there was the Maidan, the revolution that happened at the end of 2013 and beginning of 2014, and ended in many people getting killed by snipers, and the existing president, Viktor Yanukovych, being removed from office and a new Ukrainian government being installed. And once that happened, the local populations, both here in Donetsk and up north in Lugansk, kind of viewed that the government that they elected was removed without their permission, and they had nothing to say about it. So they kind of viewed their Ukraine as gone. And shortly after that, they put together a referendum or vote to break away from Ukraine. And it was fairly fast put together and non-official, of course, as far as the Ukraine government goes. But the people got together and they went and they voted to break away from Ukraine, both here in this area, the Donetsk People's Republic, and up north in the Lugansk People's Republic.
Okay, so there's been two areas of Ukraine that have broken apart independently of each other. Now, why is these two parts? Why have they? So you said you have Luhansk and Donetsk. Why do they not link up and become one country?
Well, there actually was talk about that in 2014. There was somewhat of a political party, and they were going to call it Nueva Russia, or New Russia, and that had a lot of support at the beginning of the war, but then kind of lost momentum, and it more stayed that Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republic stayed separate. They're, of course, they're allies and friends, but they consider themselves different countries.
That's interesting. How do these new countries support themselves? What do they export? What do they import?
Well, as far as the economics of the countries, the life here is very hard. They're developing young countries, and the pay here is somewhat low, as one would expect in this part of the world, as it is low in Ukraine as well, or Ukraine proper, I should say. But here the pay is somewhat low. I would say the average minimum wage, as far as someone working in a grocery store or something like this as a cashier, is probably the equivalent to about $150 US. As far as imports, back in 2014, 2015, after the war started, Ukraine put an embargo on trade, and most of the products and things are imported from Russia because both the Donetsk People's Republic and Lugansk People's Republic border Russia. And the main export of Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics is the coal. That is what they export the most of, is coal, because under our feet here for hundreds of years they've been mining coal. This is the major industry of the republics. And
so Patrick,
that's where they get a lot of their funding.
So Patrick, I'm here with Wesley from OldeSchoolWolf Media, and Wesley, as you know, lives in the United States, and we're here to kind of try to help some of the audience here that is not familiar with this story. I kind of call it the forgotten ongoing war. Now, I have a very good understanding about the situation there. I talk to my fellow colleagues across the pond. I'm currently in Asia right now. And just, Wesley, I'm going to kind of give you an idea of how this played out, how this all, kind of went down. And this will help you really understand the audience that we have here tonight. Now, the audience that we have is probably very passionate and understands where Patrick is coming from. This is a country that had a referendum. The part of the country decided to be independent. Immediately following that, the army, the military from Ukraine started to shell its own people to the point where it blew up a $500 million airport that was just recently built for, a very successful soccer competition that was going on in Europe. Well, this was going on in broad daylight. A lot of the American governments were funding other NGOs within this region, and to this day, since April the 7th of independence for the DPR, the Donetsk People's Republic, there is ongoing shelling of civilians, and Patrick Lancaster has been reporting on this in the area. And just to put it into perspective to you, it's almost like using the U.S. military on its own people, because these people want independent. They were not agreeing on what was going on in Kiev, and that is the situation we're in right now. Unless, Patrick, you can tell me differently. I think I've pretty much got it straight, huh?
Yeah, you've really kind of hit it on the nose, because, as I say, as you said, after they voted, they started to try to bring up borders and kind of really make a point to separate themselves from Ukraine, and that bringing up the borders and the border of their new countries is what really started Ukraine to just start bombarding the infrastructure and the civilian population and any military targets.
Patrick, not to interrupt you, I won't interrupt you anymore, but you can scream louder, because everybody's used to you screaming on your videos anyway. So you can scream louder so that we can hear you. We know you are mobile, and we do appreciate what you're doing, but you can talk much louder. Don't worry.
Okay, no problem. And actually, and you brought up that $500 million airport, and actually, we are just a few hundred meters from that airport. And that airport is one of the most strategic places of the war. For the first couple of years, both the Ukraine and Donetsk forces were fighting over that airport, and that's why I brought us here to this old military base here. And before it was a military base, it was an apartment building, as you'll be able to see. But we're going to head in, and we're going to go upstairs a bit, and we'll actually be able to see the ruins of the Donetsk airport.
We're seeing some comments come in here, and I just want to say thank you to some people that have came into the chat. Jarrah, thank you very much for joining us today or tonight or this evening or this afternoon. Like a BOSS, Bosk, Welcome to the program as well. David Stickney, thank you for joining us with Patrick. Now, I just want to let everybody know Patrick is out on a mobile network trying to show you the insides of a very important part of the ongoing conflict. As you can see, it's pretty interesting to see a really bombed out, blown up, smashed out building, which is just very close to the Donetsk airport. What are we looking at here, Patrick?
Right now, we are looking at the outside of this former apartment building, and after it was an apartment building before the war, it was a very strategic military base. It was actually the main military base that oversaw the battle and the fighting for the Donetsk airport. The kind of a local hero, his name was Commander Givy, was stationed here, and he overlooked the airport. I was here many times over the years filming the battles, and actually, coincidentally enough, today is his birthday, but he was several years ago he was assassinated. But this was the main base of the fighting at the Donetsk airport.
Now, Patrick, can I ask you a question? And maybe you can give me an answer to this. Without support from neighboring Russia, what would have the situation been in Donetsk?
Well, I can tell you that a huge reason that many people and civilians of the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republic actually made the move to break away from Ukraine was because they saw the support that the people in Crimea received when Crimea broke away from Ukraine. They saw the support that Russia gave to Crimea, and a lot of the local population in Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republic expected that the same help and the same open arms was going to come for the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republic. And a lot of people thought within the first year of the war that the republics were going to be absorbed into Russia, and that's what the local population dreamed of and hoped of. But many of them were disappointed to the fact that didn't happen. And now we're in the 7th year of the war, and these people are still waiting for Russia to take them in.
Now, I see that you're wearing some gear, and tell me, is there shelling? How much shelling is still going on 7 years into this?
Well, in many areas along the front line, there's daily shelling. Right now, we are not too close to the front line. We're boarding the airport, but this whole area here has been under basically weekly, if not daily, shelling. So we're far enough away so it's not immediate danger, but we're close enough to the fighting where there's still a chance that things could go south.
I'm not sure if you're watching the comments. I just want to say thank you to everybody. And if there's some comments that are coming in the Russian language and you're using Google Chrome, what you can do is right click on your browser and say translate into English so everybody can understand what even some of the people that are coming in that are writing. Dexter, thank you very much for your comments for Patrick. I'm not sure how much Patrick can watch the comments while he's walking there, but it's a bit hectic there. Wesley, I mean, let's go back to the mainstream media here, Wesley. And you're based in the United States. You served, correct?
Yes.
I mean, doesn't this astonish you that this kind of stuff is not on any media in the United States?
Yes, I yesterday finding out, I knew that there was some conflict in eastern Ukraine. I didn't know that 2 whole countries had formed.
Well, careful how you call that. It's now called the Donetsk People's Republic.
Yes, I mean, I didn't know, 2 new countries have formed, and if it was easier for me to say, let me try, Donetsk.
Yeah, just say DPR. DPR is easier for you.
Didn't know the DPR and their new neighbors had formed. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what we want to get from our mainstream media, but they seem to forget that they cover international news, and they seem to forget that news is supposed to be based in reality, not whatever they think of at the time.
Mm-hmm. And I think was it yesterday or a day ago, Patrick, we had the 6th anniversary of the MH17?
Yes, it was day before yesterday. It was the 6-year anniversary of the plane getting shot down over Donetsk People's Republic. And as every year, I went to show the memorial and document what was still left on the site, because there's actually still quite a large amount of remains left on the crash site.
Has the UN actually started to recognize these two new countries?
Good question.
Didn't quite get you there.
So, has the United Nations or any other nations around the world, given, well, let's call it for what it is. Do they recognize the Donetsk People's Republic? Does any other nation recognize them, or are they an unrecognized country as we speak?
They are basically, watch your fingers, unrecognized, but they're semi-recognized by Russia and some of the other actually recognized countries from around the world, like Abkhazia, South Ossetia, and others.
Okay, so Patrick, we're going to keep this dialogue going, and I do appreciate.
They recognize each other.
I do appreciate your walking into this building. Beyond my purview, thank you for coming up. Where is this? You say in the Ukraine. Beyond my purview, this is in the Donetsk People's Republic.
So right now it's between Ukraine and Russia. So
correct. That's correct.
Ukraine. So beyond my purview, he popped in and said WTF when I was saying that there's two new countries, and he did, that he's here in the States as well. He didn't know this either. Nobody over here knows this. The mainstream media is not covering any real news anymore.
So what we can do is just to get our viewers, the people that are watching the show, and it's been a very nice turnout so far, Patrick. So very glad to see that we have some of your subscribers come to the show, and thank you very much. If you guys have any questions or any comments that you would like highlighted or for Patrick to answer, also I'm not sure if your super chat button is activated. Any donation that you give tonight does go towards Patrick's channel, and he greatly appreciates that. But let's have a look here. If anybody has any questions, we will ask Patrick. If not, we will go full screen, and you just show us what you're up to, sir.
So right now we've come up to the 8th floor of this former military base, and we can actually see right here across the way the Donetsk International Airport, or what International Airport, was now in ruins and has been destroyed for years of war.
Wow, that is up. Patrick, please, if you could, Patrick, if you just hold that camera still for us, please. Can you go back and hold that camera still on the airport, please? I know we have a few second delay, but I would just like to just hold it on the airport. And I mean, Wesley, this was $500 million of infrastructure that has been completely obliterated by the Ukraine army, and they just bombed the living hell out of this place. Just absolutely stunning to see this.
So what has been Ukraine's logic behind this? Bombing what was their own people, bombing infrastructure that they funded the build of?
Well, I can tell you, if you ask the civilian population here, which I do every time I film the aftermath of the attacks on the civilian population, they tell you that the Ukraine government has done it to, one, punish them for trying to break away from Ukraine, or two, to get them to leave because they say the Ukraine government wants their land. And this is the main thing the civilian population has to say about it. And I can tell you, right across here, you can see the landing strips here from the airport. Just on the other side, you can see some smokestacks and the other buildings. That's actually Ukraine-controlled territory. So this right here that we're looking at is the very front line. This is where the battle is still going on right now. And the same goes across here. Basically, the airport is what divides Donetsk City and Republic from Ukraine.
Now, now, if the people of the DPR wanted to leave, would they be able to? Would they be able to migrate to either Russia or to Ukraine?
If I understood you correctly, Wes, you're asking if the local population wanted to leave, would they be able to? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, there's right now the border to Ukraine itself is closed because of the virus situation right now. But as always, the Russian border has been opened on the other side of the republics. It was actually closed. Excuse me. It was closed for a little while during the beginning of the pandemic. But for the vast majority of time, civilians are free to go to Russia. And actually, on the same hand, just last year, Russia started, they passed a law saying that civilians from the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republic are able to receive Russian citizenships. So many thousands of citizens from here in Lugansk have received Russian citizenship and passports, and he has either gone to Russia or stayed here and lived.
You know, Patrick, what I find absolutely extraordinary is that, 7 years on, we still have, the government in Kiev still receiving state aid from the European Union and other Western countries to continue to arm themselves. I find it absolutely despicable that nothing is being done here, that we know it. It's in broad daylight. You are one of the very, very, very few journalists that I know from the Western media out there. I don't even want to say you're from Western media. I think you're from the most intelligent media. But to see that they are funding Kiev to fire on their own people, this is just, it's extraordinary. It really is.
We've gotten a few comments stating that the
I definitely agree, and the fact that there are so many countries that are supporting Ukraine, both through the government and because the civilian population doesn't know what's really happening here. The civilian population is supporting them as well. Actually, just this week, there was a civilian from Estonia who was killed doing a reconnaissance mission on the Donetsk People's Republic because he was a military volunteer, supposedly, that came from Estonia to fight for Ukraine against the Donetsk People's Republic. And he was killed by a landmine. Now, this shows that how the civilian population of these countries are brainwashed into believing the just untruths that come out of their government's mouths and their mainstream media's mouths.
So we are getting several comments that what's going on there in the DPR is in accordance with deep state from the United States, from Joe Biden corruption, John Kerry corruption, and their interference in Ukrainian politics. Do you know much about that?
I'm not really following you totally on that one. I got a little breakup.
So what Wesley's talking about is, as you know, in the Western media, people have noticed that there's been a lot of hands in the cookie jar, as we would say. There's a lot of hands with the Bidens, the John Kerrys, even the Hillary Clinton involved in the political part of this. And also, while this was going on, while this problem started, there was a bunch of loans that were supposed to be or were given, and they were actually trying to, what started the Maidan was there was people were trying to get behind a movement because they wanted to get closer ties to Europe. Now, Wesley's question is there, a political connection here with the deep state, with the Bidens and the Kerrys and maybe the Clintons and who knows, even Mr. Soros?
Well, the local population here completely blames a lot of the problem not only on Ukraine but on the United States as well. I'm an American. I've been here for 6 years, but it took me quite a long time of being here and warming up to the population and the just the people in general and the military forces before I was kind of really given a real look into the real lives of the people and the ongoing actions here. But not to get too much off track, yes, the local population blames a lot of the problem on the U.S. government because they see how the U.S. government is funding and giving weapons that directly kill their family and friends. Every person, every civilian that is from here knows or has a family member of someone that has been severely injured or killed by these weapons that many of them are supplied from United States. So the overall opinion of the United States government is not good here because they are viewed as a big contributor to the problems here.
Patrick, we've got a question from Dijon's that says, Patrick, what is new about the Minsk II agreement? And before you answer that, we may actually open up the lines here to bring some people onto the program. We've done it before. All we ask is if you are going to be coming on the program, we will put a link out in the box. Click on that link, follow the instructions, but the second that you misbehave, you'll be immediately removed from the show. So if you do have anything positive to bring to the program, we'd be more than happy to bring on for a couple of minutes. I know that some people in the chat definitely have saying that this issue is much deeper. I think Wesley will provide a link to some of the people, maybe I guess to the chat forum if somebody wants to call in, and we can probably arrange that. Is that possible? You think that's okay?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay, so we'll put that out there. I think Jareth would like to join. Patrick, are you familiar with Jareth Kopus? You know that name?
Say the name again.
It's Jareth Kopus.
No, not.
Okay, no problem. No problem. So anyway, we'll bring him on here, but yeah, so no problem. So Patrick, there was a question about the Minsk II agreement. Do we know much about that?
Well, the Minsk agreements that's something they've been trying to implement for so long, to stop the war without stopping it with fighting, without stopping it without military force, but with the pen instead of the sword. And it's a lot of it's just been talk. Ukraine has been promising over and over and over again what they were going to do, how they were going to stop with these weapons, how they were going to stop shelling civilian areas, and it's just all been it's on paper, but in action, it's been a total failure.
Mm-hmm. I'm reading a comment here from Port Bacon for everyone. Sounds good. Money Talks, one of the large donors for the Clinton Foundation is that of the Ukrainian oligarch Viktor Pinchuk, while Hunter Biden got his used to work for the Burisma Holdings. I mean, Wesley, these are a lot of names popping up. The Bidens, the Clintons, the Soros. I mean, you can see here from Suzanne, this is Maidan Revolt in 2014. It was a coup d'etat organized by the CIA, George Soros, billions, Biden, McCain's, Clinton's corrupt U.S. State Department. On the surface, I tend to agree that this is the timing of it was quite extraordinary and rather alarming that this happened. I'm not sure how much media attention that this got, but when I was watching this, during the Maidan, the U.S. State Department was all over this. There was intercepted phone calls of just staged events, and I'm going to ask the panel this question, or even ask the viewers this question. I do not remember there being a vote for the new government in the Ukraine. So, Jared, are you back there? Are you ready for us, sir?
Give us a thumbs up if you're ready.
Just give us a thumbs up if you're ready, if you can hear us, if you're ready to chat. Okay, good. And the thumbs up means you're going to behave on the show, yeah? Okay, good. All right, fantastic. If we could bring him in, Jared, I think we can... welcome to the show.
Hi there. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome, sir. So tell us, we've been reading in the comment box that you feel that this is a much bigger story, and I'm happy to have you on the program, and thank you very much for coming on the program. What we try to do, and why we brought Old School Wolf Media on here, and I know Patrick for quite a while, and I do know some of the history here, but this, Wesley is a very smart guy. He's served in the U.S. before, and if somebody could shut off their feed in the background there, because we're getting a bit of echo from the show. But Wesley's on here because he follows the media very close in the United States. It's on his thumb almost by the second, and you're kind of surprised by hearing all this, aren't you, Wesley, about all this going on?
I was surprised mostly about hearing the creation of two new countries. That I knew there was conflict there, but two new countries, giant landmasses break off and say we're going to do our own thing. That's the news that we need to be hearing in the mainstream media.
Right.
Now, as far as deep state connections, we've been on to that for a while here in the United States. We've been, this has been one of the hallmarks, the milestones of the Trump presidency, actually rooting out this corruption that's been affecting Ukraine so much. But one of the big mysteries that we've been having is, what was the main goal of the deep state and their interference there? Well, this is another piece of that puzzle. When they realize somehow the deep state convinced Ukraine to bomb what was its own people, and then start blaming it on Russia, claiming Russia's a bunch of investigators.
Just before I bring on Jareth back into this, so Jareth, what you need to do is, if you have YouTube running in the background, if you could mute that would help out, so you're not hearing an echo. If not, just close the YouTube program and give us the thumbs up when you're ready to go.
You should also find some headphones.
No problem. Take your time. So Patrick, okay, he's ready to go. So, all right. Can you unmute yourself now, sir?
Yeah, is that better for you guys? Sorry about that.
That's okay. So tell us, what's your take on all of this, and where are you?
I'm actually in Northwoods, Wisconsin. I've been following Patrick for a long time. I've contacted him a couple times, but I actually wrote a book, Ukraine Forever a Pawn. So I've been deep in this as well. My take is I've actually been looking further into the Biden thing. Yes, Biden plays a big role, but it's much more than Burisma. He goes back even at the beginning of his career. He's tied to the diaspora here in the U.S. He was in the Ukrainskaya Pravda, which is the newspaper here that the diaspora puts out. He actually worked alongside with the gentleman that took over in assisting the new prosecutor general in Ukraine. So he's been tied in deep with these Ukrainian diaspora here in the U.S. for a long, long time. That being said, that diaspora started after World War II, really when the U.S. took a lot of these really bad nationalists that have now been allowed to take control of Ukraine, were brought over to the U.S. and held in safe arms by the U.S. So we really are connected to the bad, small minority of bad people in Ukraine and seek to bolster them and lift them up, is my take on this all.
So what do you think is the end game here?
You know, that's the toughest part to say. I think on one side, the DPR, they want peace. I think it's clear that one side wants peace and one side wants never-ending conflict. A never-ending conflict is really the ultimate goal of the West, because they can continue to sell arms. They can continue to trick people, keep people divided. It's a very basic tactic. It's really the ultimate goal of color revolutions isn't a military or land victory. It's just continued nonstop conflict, if you ask me.
Can I ask you how long you've been watching Patrick on his channel?
Really, probably since 2014. I started out with Graham Phillips when he was with Graham Phillips. I've been watching this for a long time, so I have to say I'm really honored to be on the same show as him and give him a big root of confidence from here in Wisconsin.
Oh, that's very kind words. I'm very concerned on, during this world pandemic that we're going through right now, and nations that need support. I mean, when the world is down on its knees, the DPR was already down on its knees and fighting, for a good cause. I mean, you have to understand, when your own army turns its guns on you, you got to fight. And, that's what I'm seeing here. Patrick is in one of those embedded reporters inside the DPR, which we don't see. When you mostly see Western media in that area, they'll report about the DPR, but they'll be standing in Kiev in a hotel lobby. So this is much different here. Do you have any other, maybe words of encouragement for the people in DPR and how they can maybe get through something like this? And it's nice to know that you're an American and you're understanding this story, and I think they might really appreciate that. I do. I think it's great that you're following this.
Yeah, I think to the people in the DPR, they don't need encouragement. From what I've been able to see, the people I've spoken with, they're strong, they're intelligent, they know what's going on, they have the will and the work, that's their motto, will and work, to get through this. So they'll continue to fight. I mean, if they didn't want to be there, they don't have to. That's their homeland, that's their land that they want to defend, and that's the key word, is defend. And I hope they keep defending, because as goes Donbass, goes the world, really.
Well, you're a very smart guy, and it's been a pleasure to have you on the program. We're going to try to make some room for some other people, but don't forget to keep an eye on my channel as well, and Wesley's channel. Mine's Reporterfy Media. I did actually fly out to meet Patrick last year, and we met in the breakaway. I don't know if you recognize this flag. Let's see if you recognize this flag. Okay, let's see if you recognize that flag. It's green.
Transnistria.
Yeah, boy. Okay.
There we go.
So
yeah.
we were down there doing
Beautiful
some filming.
Forest. Yes.
Yeah. So we were doing some filming down there together, and eventually I'll make some room for the content on my channel. Right now I'm pretty tied up with China. And Wesley runs a channel called OldeSchoolWolf Media. I think that maybe one of these times, maybe you should be a guest on one of his shows, because he runs a very cool program on the weekends. Thank you very much, Jareth. Wesley's going to send you on out of the studio and back into the comment section. So it's been a pleasure to have you on. Thank you very much, sir.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, Patrick, the lovely, beautiful forest behind you, what are we looking at here?
Well, actually, this is the neighborhood that is bordered by the Donetsk airport. This is called Oktoberski. basically every home that you see here and all the way down that way has been damaged by shelling. This whole area surrounding the Donetsk airport has had hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of homes destroyed. And if you look across the green area, you see right here, this is downtown Donetsk. So as you saw on the other side, it is the airport and Ukraine-controlled territory. Well, this is where the civilian homes start here, and then across the civilian homes is downtown Donetsk. So all of this area has been heavily damaged by shelling.
On an estimate, how many people do you feel have left the region of the Donetsk People's Republic and Luhansk? If you could, 10%, 20% of the population, 30%?
Not sure exactly how many percent, but I believe the total somewhere around 2 million have left the area between the two republics. It's somewhere around 2 million the last time I checked. But there's many people that have left, but there's still many people who have stayed on because, as the other caller said, that it is their land and they want to protect it. And this area here is almost like a ghost town, but there are still people that live here. Actually, just about, I'd say a little under a kilometer in this direction is my wife's childhood home, which has been hit by shelling at least 3 times. And that's we know this as a fact that it's Ukraine that shelled her home, where her and her brothers and sister grew up. And I forgot to mention before, yes, since I've been here for 6 years, I did meet my wife here. And last Friday, we actually had our second son. So I have somewhat of an insight into the personal and daily life of the population here because I'm part of it now.
Well, congratulations on your new son there, Patrick. Congratulations on that. Can I ask you a question? Why did you decide to take this such brave role to tell the world an amazing story? What made you do this?
Well, it's kind of as corny as it sounds. It's kind of like it chose me, or God chose me for this, because I originally was down in Crimea when the events in 2014 were happening, with Crimea becoming part of Russia again. And I came to Donetsk thinking I was going to get some interesting video, and I really had no idea about the situation, the political situation, or really what was happening. I was learning everything as I was going, and I got to know the people. And for the first year I was here, I didn't speak any Russian at all. I knew just a couple of words. And I say Russian, that's actually another thing we should point out to your viewers, that yeah, Ukraine says, oh, this is Ukraine here. Well, none of the population here has or is speaking Ukrainian on a daily basis. It's not something, the Ukrainian language is not something that's spoken in these breakaway republics. And it's not a new thing that has just happened since they broke away. The Ukrainian language just is not spoken here. These are ethnically Russian families, the vast majority of them. And they speak Russian here. And back to my point, when I came here, I didn't speak any Russian. And I started to learn the people and learn the language after my first year, because for my first year, every month I thought I was a little bit longer. And then I met my wife, and then I really started to fall in love with her and the population. And that's when I felt, well, I see this atrocity that's going on. I have to do everything I can on a daily basis to show the world what's really happening.
What Wesley will do, and thank you for those comments, if anyone else would like to join our program, either to ask Patrick some questions or has some comments, Wesley will put the link out again. We ask you to be polite when you come on the show, and just like our last guest that was on the show, a very smart guy and extremely intelligent and very knowledgeable what was going on in the area. So my big thumbs up to that gentleman who joined us earlier. So if there's a few people that would like to join the program, maybe even say a couple of words to Patrick or join the panel for a little while, we put the StreamYard link out in there. All you need to do is click it. You don't have to come on camera if you don't want to. You have the choice to mute your camera or show your camera. That is totally up to you. If you just want to come on the air and maybe vent a little bit here, politely of course, and and tell us what you feel about this situation. We're going to go to a couple of comments here that have been coming in. And Patrick, I must say, it's nice to see that you have a very good subscriber base that have definitely involved in this stream. So this, I know this is one of your first live streams, and so far so good. I think it's very incredible that you can take us along with you on a journey out with some gear and showing it live. This ain't recorded, this is live. So just gonna pop a few comments up on the screen here. Most Americans don't believe Joe Biden, Hunter Biden had any businesses in Ukraine. The Bidens not only trying to destroy their own people, but going across the world and start SHIT over there. Very interesting. Thank you, Jareth, for that as well. He said, appreciate the kind words. If it weren't for the people like Patrick, my knowledge would be much less than it is now. And I agree with that, Patrick. You know, you've done an incredible job there. Here's a comment coming in from David, says, we love you, Patrick. Thank you. Another comment from David, I lived in the center of Kiev on Maidan between 2002 to 2008. We went on a special restaurant to get waited on in Ukrainian. I've never heard Ukrainian walking down the street. So, you know, some of these things here is, you know, maybe if you could tell us how are people coping and managing to, you know, live in a war zone.
Well, people are finding a way. Back in 2014, when the fighting was just so intense, the city was closed down. All the businesses were closed. People were keeping their families in their bomb shelters. Thousands of people were living underground.
Just a bit stalled on the connection there. I'm going to go to another question, Patrick. We've just got a little bit of a data problem here for just a slight second. Wesley, maybe you can help us out with this. Why did American tax dollars go to the Ukrainians?
Globalism. Earlier, Jareth, and I'm not trying to speak against him while he's not here, but he mentioned that there's a Western goal of Westernism. No, that's all a misdirection. It's these globalists that couldn't care less about borders or political affiliations. One of the means of controlling the board, if you can't conquer the board, one of the means of controlling the board is to encourage conflict between two opposing players. And that's so people that play a lot of strategic games automatically understand this concept. You know, and it's going to get a little nerdy there. If you can't take on the players around you, you just secretly send money to the player on the other side of the board so he can fight the other people for you. So this is part of the craziness here with this whole, you know, with Biden and Ukraine. We don't know the ultimate, we don't know the specific goal of everything going on. We just know that there were powers that be, you know, intentionally trying to control Ukraine, to control conflict, to encourage what's going on right now. So we're both seeing different sides. We're both seeing different sides of this, and we're both having a hard time understanding the opposing side about what would cause this.
You know, though, but to be honest with you, Wesley, here, the Americans have really been targeted, you know, not military-wise, but, you know, they know that Ukraine, you know, a lot of companies have gone in there and just asset stripped this entire country. It's been going on for a long time. This isn't just something new that was going on since the last rising. I mean, there's been a lot of fingers into this country for years and years and years. And, you know, it just shows you that some of the people, they're quite strong. They'll say, you know, when they saw the last attempt to try to bring down, you know, the government, they put their hands in the air and they said, fine, we're going to go back to Crimea. We're going to go to Luhansk, Donetsk, and we're going to have a vote on this. And sure enough, it was voted, and the will of the people, they would much rather stay where they are now than, you know, get into the bed with the other part of the nation there. So, yes, if there's any more people that want to call in, we're going to continue here for a little bit more. And Patrick, what else can you tell us about this building now in this area? Is it still armed once in a while, or is there still shelling that goes on within this building, and why?
Yes, yeah. There's not as much as there used to be, but in this area surrounding the airport here, there is still shelling that happens, that hits these homes, and of course, definitely on the territory of the airport itself. That's where the farthest west bases and positions are for the anti-government forces, and just on the other side of the airfield, like I showed, is where the Ukrainian positions are. So there's definitely still fighting that happens just a few hundred meters this way, and there is shelling and artillery that is fired into this whole surrounding area, both on that direction and on that direction. And there's still people that live here. But it's just something that these people live with on a sometimes daily basis, sometimes weekly basis. But we can actually even take a zoom in a bit on some of these homes that were hit in the past.
Please do. Let's have a look.
And we can see that these homes here were hit. Most of them are damaged. Some of them destroyed. And this isn't just a small area. This is the many square kilometers, 100 square kilometers around this airport. Not sure the exact amount, but quite a lot of the area that have just had all of the civilian homes damaged.
Where are these people being resettled, Patrick?
For the people who've had their homes damaged, there's actually programs that are given by the government of the Donetsk People's Republic. They show a document, a title of their home that was damaged, and the government comes and checks it out and said, okay, yeah, your home was severely damaged or destroyed, and they temporarily, is the idea, they set them up in somewhat of a hotel, a hostel, where they're able to live. And once all the documentation is done, the families are actually offered a replacement. In many cases, they're offered a replacement apartment in the city to take the place of their destroyed home. And if the home's not destroyed, they're also given material from the government in many cases to fix their home themselves.
Can you imagine that, being displaced in your own country by what used to be your military? I just cannot fathom something like that.
Hard life.
It's unbelievable. And there has been some comments that it wasn't just the US that was involved in the EU. Canada played a part in this. I wouldn't doubt it as well. I mean, we were the first country that was doing NATO bombing in the Bregow of Yugoslavia many years back. I had quite a story. I don't know if you remember that story I was telling you when I went to Belgrade there, Patrick, for a tour. Maybe I'll tell it the next time on the show, but Yeah, our Canadian flag is not always welcomed everywhere on this in this world. So there's a lot of mess that a lot of these countries have done. What do you see as a positive sign? Do you see a positive sign out of any of this? Is there light at the end of the tunnel here at all?
For the first couple of years, I had high hopes, but it's just a constant circle of promises that have been given, and every year it's the same. Oh, they make a big show out of Ukraine pulling forces away from the front line, promising that the fighting's going to stop everything, and then in the following months, every single year, the forces get back close to the shelling of the civilian infrastructure, and neighborhoods starts, and in some cases never stops. And so I have no more hope for peace here anymore. All the people want is peace, but they've been waiting almost 7 years now, into the seventh year, and something needs to happen. The international community needs to wake up and stop Ukraine from shelling these civilians.
Yeah, and I just so if you guys didn't hear that, Patrick and I have had this conversation many a times that, the shelling has to stop here. I mean, we're seeing strange things. I mean, the Ukraine voted in a comedian. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, Wesley. That the
Yes,
he's a comedian, and he did promise to either to try to reunite this country back together or to solve the problems. Has not happened. So, I mean,
he's
this
probably
is
got
very
a lot
complex.
of people against him. There's a lot of people holding the Canadian thing against him, and I mean, similar things happening here in the United States, where everyone's saying, "Well, Donald Trump, he's just a TV personality. Why do we elect him? There's nothing professional." Well, professionalism is what was destroying us for so long. When you work in the corporate world, you very quickly figure out that the correct definition of professionalism is smiling at your boss, and complimenting them when they're absolute garbage, and accepting when people are lying to you. Professionalism is just a term people use when they're trying to make you happy about taking advantage of you. It's something that's been destroying a lot of countries. So that we turn to Donald Trump because he was a different. He says the quiet part out loud. He speaks honestly, and people are offended by that. And I would suspect, not that I'm a aficionado of Ukrainian politics, but Ukraine turning to a comedian is turning to someone just that's completely different from what they were accustomed to, because what they were accustomed to, it was inherently not working.
Yeah, very clearly. I got a question for you, Patrick. Since I follow a lot of stuff in China, have the Chinese come in to try to help with any of the infrastructure yet?
No, I think the situation here is definitely too young and too underdeveloped as a country here to really have that much of an outsource from other countries like that. They're basically just now in the last times is starting to get more help from the infrastructure of Russia and civilian companies there coming across. But as far as to that level, not yet. I'm sure there's many people that hope for some sort of economic cooperation in the future. But as of right now, as far as I know, that's not happening.
Would it be welcomed?
Yes, I believe definitely. I think that would definitely be a step in the right direction, because the more international communication and cooperation that these young republics and young countries have, the better, for one, that their morale is as a country, because they feel like they're starting to be actually accepted by the international world, which is their goal, is what they want, or that it factually helps their lives as far as the daily life and infrastructure of their country.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this has been going on 7 years. It's incredibly complicated. Um, my hat goes off to you for keeping the strength and staying with this story. I mean, just unbelievable, Patrick. It's just unbelievable.
Thank you.
Wesley, have you got any questions for Patrick before we start to slowly wind down the show? And if there's anybody that wants to join the show, we're going to be on for a few more minutes. Wesley will put one more link up there for you guys. And then, if not, we're going to just kind of wind down in a few minutes here. Go ahead, Wesley, if you have any comments.
Patrick, what are your plans for the future? Are you going to stay in the DPR? Do you plan on moving, come back to the United States? Like, what do you think is best for you and your family there?
Well, as far as my family and I go, basically we've somewhat made a decision to have our home base here in Donetsk. We do want to spend a lot of time in Russia in the near future as well. As far as the United States goes, of course, we want to visit my family there, but just as a visit. I would like maybe next year, the year after, to go for maybe a half a year to the United States, do some reporting there on the situation, but come back here at least half of the year, because this is where my family's or my wife's family is, and actually my father lives here as well. He's been living here for the last 2.5 years.
Wow. Okay, so we're having someone pop in now. Jack, can you hear us? Hey, Jack, turn on your camera. Give us a thumbs up. No.
He's got no problem.
Looks like he's still trying to log in.
No problem. Okay, so thank you very much, Patrick, and we just want to say a big thanks to your audience. This was the first time that we've tried a live stream. Maybe we have a couple more locations to do in the next few weeks or something like that. We can, great first run at this. And I think, this is great for your audience, kind of reignites your audience to let them know that you're still going and you're going strong. It was always a pleasure for us to join you on the panel today. Do not forget, if you're not a subscriber to Patrick's channel, to hit that subscribe button, and as well to Old School Wolf Media and myself, Alex from Reporterfy Media. We do crisscross as content creators. Patrick and I have filmed quite a bit of stuff. It hasn't seen the light of day yet, but hopefully it will in the near future. Just want to say thank you to all the people out there. What you can do is, before you leave the show today, hit that big thumbs up button. We have 82 thumbs up. If we could get to 100, that would be great. So stop what you're doing now, hit that thumbs up. It helps the algorithm. It helps Patrick's videos reach out to a bigger audience as well. I just want to say thank you to some of the people I know that have come into the show. Caliber Wings, thank you very much. After we're done the show, maybe tomorrow, Caliber, I will explain to you in more detail what this was all about, because it's pretty heavy. And thank you again to Old School Wolf Media. You can find his channel as well in the description box below. And keep up the great work, Patrick. If there's something that you want to say to the audience before we leave today, now is your time, sir.
Well, I definitely want to thank you guys for having me on here and joining me on this trip through this area. It's been a while since I've been here, and it's been great to be on with you guys. And thanks a lot for organizing this, because it's been a great experience. And I think it's time, and it's a great way to start reaching more people. And as you said, igniting my previous followers. So, because the world needs to know about the situation here and what's really happening. So the more people that see this, and that means the more people can share it, and eventually the world can start to understand what's really happening here. Because I've been trying for almost 7 years now to show the world, as we said. It's a slow journey, but it's going to happen eventually. The world's going to understand what's really going on. So thanks again to both of you guys. It's been a great experience.
Well, you stay safe there, Patrick. And how can we donate, or how can people donate to help your cause and help your channel?
Well, there is a link that people can join, kind of it's a subscription-based thing. There's some different perks, but in the majority of my videos, there's a link below that's it gives the people the ability to kind of help a bit and support my work. So if you want to look for that, if it's not below this video, I'll make sure right after to get it put in there. But yeah, that's it. And just the biggest way you can support me is subscribe, like this video, tell everyone you know what's really happening here. And if you're able to support my work financially, that is great too, because it's needed. Because equipment is needed to show these reports. So thanks to everybody who's watching, for sure.
You're welcome, Patrick, and I hope Wesley and I can do it again with you. I think it was quite cool, and as Wesley and I gear up to know the story, I know it quite well, but I'm really happy to always share a story like this with Wesley. He jumped on it as soon as he heard about it. He said, absolutely, this is interesting. I want to hear this because we're not getting it in the Western media, and that's what I like about the Old School Wolf Media here. So from everyone, in this day and age, we're going through a very difficult time on Earth here. If you have time to reach out to that friend, maybe buy them some groceries, take them out for a beer or something like that. Well, the world struggles with this CV virus, and as you heard, Patrick is also out there for a good cause. I just want to say thank you very much for giving us your time. As content creators here on YouTube, it's important to all of us. We do greatly appreciate you being subscribers to our channel. And once again, everyone have a very safe weekend. And from the panel, it's a goodbye from me, and it's a goodbye from Patrick Lancaster, and a goodbye from Wesley at Old School Wolf Media. Fantastic first time there, Patrick. Well done, sir. We will see you again, and we're going to do this again, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
It's a great, fun experience.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Patrick, and
thank you.
Thanks for making me a part of this, Alex. I do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Stay safe out there, and do research. Go try to learn the things that people don't want you to know.
Yeah. Great. Thanks again. Take care.